just come to your seat, the front of the seat. Per usual, having your sit bones towards the front edge so that way you're not leaned up against the back of the chair. And then lift up really nice and tall through the crown of the head. And think of softening the shoulders down away from the ears and just letting your palms rest lightly on your thighs. And so you can close the eyes or you can keep just a soft gaze down on the floor, slightly tipping the chin in just to elongate the back of the neck. And I just want you to start to breathe. So inhaling and exhaling naturally, not doing anything quite yet to change the breath. Just noticing any areas of tension in your body. Any places that maybe feel slightly off balance. See if those places that you're bringing attention to, you can start to soften just by thinking about them, just by bringing attention to those places. And as you begin to soften those places, maybe you notice that your breath on its own starts to slow down and deepen. Starting to take bigger breaths, deeper inhales through the nose, filling up the belly. And then a longer, drawn out exhale as the belly draws back in toward the body. And so with an added focus and attention on the breath, literally taking this practice breath by breath. Not worrying about the next one, not worrying about the next movement, the next pose, the next transition. And just doing your best to feel out every inch, every moment, and again, every breath. And hopefully by now, as you've softened your body, you've slowed down the breath. You might notice that the chatter in your brain and your mind becomes a little quieter, a little more calm. And so just sit with that for a moment. Then we're going to start with very subtle movements of the head and the neck. So you're going to start to tip your chin towards the chest. You're going to circle your right ear to your right shoulder, tipping your head back as far as you feel comfortable with. Rolling the left ear to the left shoulder, and then coming back chin to the chest. And you're going to go in that same direction. So circles to the right. Doing your best to keep your shoulders relaxed. Noticing where along the circle you feel tension and tightness. And it might be in many places along the circle. And just doing your best to get the fullest range of motion without creating pain. Once your chin falls back down into your chest, you're going to reverse the direction of the circle, this time rolling the left ear to the left shoulder, tipping the head back, rolling to the right shoulder and back chin to the chest, and going in that direction a few more times. Be sure to go as slow as you need. There's no rush, it's not a race. You don't even necessarily have to be balanced on each side as far as number of repetitions go. More so balanced in just the sensation, balanced in the quality of the stretch, of the range of motion. And the next time your chin dips down to the chest, just pause for a moment. Feel like your head is hanging low. You may feel a little bit more of the sensation traveling down the back of the spine. And then very gently start to peel the head back up on top of the shoulders, lifting your gaze. And then the arms can come down to the side. So with a straight spine, inhale and reach your arms up. And exhale, float the arms all the way back down. And again, inhale and lift. And exhale, release, allowing the shoulders to soften down with the arms. Inhale, getting space in between the rib cage. And exhale, ribcage softens once more. Every inhale, think of yourself growing taller through the crown of the head, getting space now between each of the vertebrae of your spine. And then as you exhale, think of keeping that space even though the arms and the shoulders decompress. And again, reaching up. And back down. And then this time, as you go up, which it might be a little bit slower, you're going to be rotating your palms from back to front as the arms come up. And so again, it might be more than one breath, one inhale, but you're thinking of rotating, internally rotating, externally rotating at the shoulder socket. And then you're going to work your way back down. Notice how you feel on both sides of the arms and shoulders, shoulder blades, the muscles that are helping you lift your deltoids. Notice if one feels slightly different than the other and in what way, and if there's anything that you can tweak to balance the sensation out. And sometimes you can. Sometimes we just have differences in how our bone structure is on each side of the body. Good, and then you're going to do that one more time, but just coming up and out to this side. So reaching your arms out to a T position, and your palms will stay reaching over the floor, so palms facing down. Take a deep breath in, still lengthening up through the crown of the head, and as you exhale, reach up and over to your right side. Maybe your right hand can come to a crossbar or one of the legs of the chairs, and then reach through the left fingertips, doing your best to keep your left sit bone on the chair and even slightly pressing through your left heel to help that. And then inhale, grow tall, reaching your arms back out, stacking the spine, and then up and over to the left. Left shoulder falls away from the ear. Right fingertips reach up to the sky and then slightly over, depending on how deep your side bend is. Keep your gaze straight on, straight forward. And then inhale, rising back up. Exhale one more time. Take a deep breath in while you're over here. And deep breath out. And then inhale, lengthen as you lift. And exhale up and over. Taking the breath all the way to the bottom. Inhale into the right side. Exhale, release the breath fully. And inhale, lift and lengthen again. And bring the arms down. Good. All right, so from here, you're gonna heel toe the feet together, allowing the knees and the inner thighs to squeeze in. You're gonna reach the arms up, take a deep breath, hinge forward out of the hips, thinking of keeping a straight spine, and then fold over the legs. Maybe palms, maybe just your fingertips to the floor on the sides of your feet, and then allow your chin to fall in, thinking forehead towards the knees. Now from here, it might not feel like much because you're on the chair, but you're gonna lift up slightly and lengthen. So your hands might have to come to your shins and slightly press into the shins. And then exhale, release, bring your hands back down to the floor and drop your head in. And again, inhale, lift, feel like you're lengthening the spine, reaching out through the crown of the head and the tailbone behind you. And then exhale, round back in towards the legs, noticing that your forehead might get a little bit deeper. Maybe now coming a little closer to the shins. Inhale, press into the shins and lift. And then exhale and release. You're gonna do this one more time. This time though, you're gonna stay in your flat back position. Draw the belly muscles in. Reach your arms out to the side, again like airplane wings, and then reach your arms forward, palms towards each other. Now flip the palms and squeeze back like you're trying to touch your hips or the sides of the chair behind you. Flip the palms and reach forward. Keep lengthening and reaching out through the crown of the head. Stay nice and strong through the feet and the glutes on the chair. And again, reaching forward. Maybe your palms touch, maybe they don't, that's fine. Flip the palms, squeeze the arms back into the body. Making sure that the shoulders are staying slightly lifted away from the chest. And especially as the arms reach back, you're pulling with the fingertips to drag the shoulders away from the ears. Do one more. Inhale and reach. And exhale. Bring the arms back out to the side. And then bring them down to the floor and fold back in, resting your head and your chest. From here, you're gonna roll yourself back up. So squeeze the inner thighs. Allow your arms to dangle. Come back to the sit bones. Stack the spine. Continue and reach the arms up. And exhale. Release. Beautiful. All right. So moving into more of a sequence here, we're gonna twist to the right. You're gonna make sure that the right foot and knee are in line, and you might have to slide a little off so the left glute and sit bone are not on the chair. Usually reaching your right hand to the back of the chair can help keep you stable. Slide now your left foot back behind you. Take a gaze over the left shoulder and just make sure it's not too open. So making sure it's at least relatively in line with the hip. A little open is fine. So from here, pushing energy out through the left heel, even though the left knee might be slightly bent. Think of dropping your tailbone slightly towards the floor and sense your left hip pulling forward as well. And it might even feel almost like your right hip needs to pull slightly back. So from here, reaching the right arm up to the sky. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. If you feel like you can balance here, make sure your belly muscles are pulled in. You could reach the right arm up and come into a supported high lunge. So with fingertips reaching up to the sky, maybe even slightly turn your pinky fingers in so that way you feel the backs of your shoulders broaden. And then just lightly think of lifting up and out of the chest, reaching your gaze slightly up towards the sky. A little bit of an arch, nothing crazy. Continue to drop the shoulders down away from the ears and sliding the shoulder blades down the back of the body. And then from here, lift up back to neutral. As you open your body, swivel the left heel down. Your left hip will open and your arms will come out to a warrior two position. So do any adjusting that you feel like you need to do with your left and right foot, making sure that your shoulders are over your hips. So you're not leaned forward, you're not leaned back, nice and in line. Long sides of the sides, the torso, lifting. From here, take a deep breath in and deep breath out. Keeping your gaze focused over the right middle finger, your shoulders relaxed, belly muscles in, squeezing tightly up across the left leg into the glute muscle, keeping the pinky edge of your left foot pressed firmly to the floor. Make sure you're reaching energy not only through the right front fingers, but the left back fingers as well. And then we're going to take it down to extended side angle. So your right elbow is going to come to your knee. Make sure you don't collapse into the shoulder though. And then the left arm is going to reach just up to the sky to begin. So kind of creating a long line through the left arm all the way down through, think of the right foot and heel. Now from here, if you want to go a little further, you can reach the left arm over the bicep, or I'm sorry, the left arm over the left ear. And maybe if you want to go a little deeper, your right hand can release and come to the inside of the right foot. You might reach just for your ankle. You might get the fingertips to the floor. I'm not that loose today, so I can only come to my ankle, and that's fine. Try to relax your head and your neck and breathe. If your right arm is on the inside of your right leg, use your elbow and your tricep to press your right knee open. It's also going to kind of help leverage to twist the left chest and shoulder open slightly as well. And then from here, start to pick the left arm up, reach the right arm up, picking the torso back up to warrior two, and then just relax the arms. Take a deep breath in, all the way up, and exhale all the way back down to warrior two. It's time for peaceful warrior. Flip the right palm up, start to take it up and back. Your left hand will drag down the length of your leg like it's trying to reach for the knife edge, and your right fingertips will reach to the sky. Feel once again your left shoulder just kind of drop down away from the ear. And if you want to open the left shoulder a little bit more, the left hand can reach behind your low back, like you're reaching for your right hip flexor or your right inner thigh. And then release the left arm, bringing it back down to the left leg. Reach the right arm back out, picking up the left arm and the torso. Back to neutral, back to warrior two, and then soften the arms back down. You're going to swivel and turn back into your high lunge position. However, this time, I want you to really hold on to the back of the chair. Make sure that your right hip is supported on the chair. You're going to drag your left knee in and reach for the top of your foot and toes, and then let the knee reach down towards the floor, but also reach back slightly. So you're almost pushing your knee back behind you as you draw your heel towards the glute. Depending on the length of your femur, your upper leg bone, your kneecap might actually be touching the floor. Mine's kind of close, it's not quite there. Very gently release the foot to the mat and then swivel yourself all the way over to the left side. And we'll do that little sequence on this side. So this time, left hip is on the chair, right hip might slightly be off. Slide your right toes back, take a glance over the right shoulder, bring the leg in if you need to. Push out through the heel, keep a micro bend to your knee, especially if you need to tuck the tailbone in order to not compress the low back. And then when you're ready, right arm can reach up, and you're more than welcome to stay here. Use your left hand in support on the chair to keep yourself balanced. If you feel like you can lift the left arm with it, draw the belly muscles in. Sense your right hip pulling forward, maybe the left hip slightly pulling back. And then just lift slightly up and out of the heart and the chest, reaching your gaze up to the sky, keeping the shoulders and shoulder blades soft down the back of the body. Coming back up to a straight spine. As your arms open, you're going to swivel the right heel down, knee will straighten, and your hips will open to the right wall. So do any adjusting on your chair that you need to, and with your feet and your legs. Once the arms are out, make sure your shoulders are over your hip bones, squeezing up into the right glute, and a soft gaze over the left middle finger. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. When you're ready, you're going to start to take the left elbow to your left knee. Reach the right arm up to the sky. Pause for a moment here. And I don't know if you guys can see what I oftentimes have to kind of, I don't want to say fix necessarily, but just adjust in my own body, an extended side angle on this side. My right rib cage is a little bit bigger just because of the curvature of my spine, and so when I do this, when I do a left side bend or a left side reach, it's just very natural for me to pop my rib cage out. So I have to really think of lengthening the left side of my body and almost contracting the right side and pulling the rib cage in slightly to create more of that long line. Now, if you want to go deeper from here, the right arm can reach over the right ear. An elbow can stay on the knee, or you can start to reach down for the inside of the foot, even if it just means reaching to your ankle. Really big, deep breaths, making sure you're not clenching your jaw. Wherever you are in a pose, you should still be able to breathe deeply. Once that deep breath is not an option, you've gone too far. Start to pick the right arm up, lift the left arm, coming back out to warrior two. Let's bring the arms down. And then just inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, finding warrior two again, relaxing the shoulders. This time the front left palm will flip to face up. As you reach up and back, the right hand falls down the length of the right leg, dropping that right shoulder with it. Opening now the left side of the body. And for some of you, I know I'm feeling it right now, you're probably going to feel a pretty decent inner thigh groin stretch of the right leg, especially if you're trying to keep the knife edge of your foot pressed firmly to the floor. Now again, your right arm can stay where it is, or it can start to wrap behind the low back and reach for your left hip flexor or inner thigh. Just helps to roll the right shoulder back a little. Maybe allows you to a little bit deeper into your extension back. And then release your right hand back down the length of the right leg. Start to pick the left arm up and bring the right arm up with it. Good. And then bring the arms down. You're gonna swivel back onto your right toes, finding that high lunge position. Make sure you're holding and supporting with your left arm to the back of your chair. Slide the right knee in under the body, and then you're gonna reach for the top of your foot or ankle, toes, and then allow the knee to drop. Slightly pull the knee behind the body and then pull the heel to the glute. Might have to bend your elbow, roll the shoulder back, and deep breathe. Carefully letting go of your foot and swiveling back around to the center. Before we come to standing, we're gonna do a piriformis stretch, so just seated here. Right ankle is gonna cross on top of the left knee. See if you can hinge forward instead of rounding the back and closing off the shoulders and the chest. So stay lifted, shoulders nice and broad, and just lean forward. That will help deepen it, and then also keeping your right knee open and soft. And then start to pick the torso back up. Set the right foot down, switch sides, left ankle over the right knee. Let the left knee relax, hip flexor relax, and then keeping the shoulders broad. If that's enough, then you stay there right over the sit bones. If you need a little bit more, hinge slightly forward. And then lifting the torso, setting the left foot back to the floor, and then we'll come to standing. So from standing, I actually want you to turn your chair so that way you're facing the back of the chair, but position the chair towards the front end of your mat, so you've got the length of mat behind you to work with. So with your hands on the edge of the chair, the back of the chair, you're gonna walk your feet back. I can't tell you how far, it's just gonna depend on realistically the length of everything, your arms, your torso, your legs, as far as how far back you need to be for a supported downward facing dog. You essentially want your hips to be slightly back away from the heels, and then able to still keep your hands on the chair, but drop your head and your chest through the arms and the shoulders. So for some people, your spine will still be rounded. For others, it's going to be more lengthened and straight. And for some, most of the time, it's just the flexibility of the hamstrings, the back of the body, that might allow you for a more extension or back bend feel to your downward facing dog. So just kind of go to your degree of stretch and length and sensation, more so. If it feels good, you can, what we would typically do, walk the dog, where you bend one knee as the other one straightens. You get kind of that lower back and hip twist and rotation. It just helps to open up the back of the body, back of the legs, a little more focused on one leg at a time, one hamstring and calf. If it feels good, you can bend both knees and straighten both knees. It's kind of fun when you bend your knees and you press a little bit, thinking of pressing your chest towards your thighs, and then trying to maintain that as you straighten the knees. So you bend the knees, allowing your chest to fall a little deeper. Think of lengthening the tailbone up towards the ceiling or towards the back wall, and then keeping that length as the knees straighten back out. Not fully. We always want to keep a slight micro bend on our joints. Then from here, we're just going to do some wave-like actions. So with your hands firmly wrapped around the seat of the chair or the back of the chair, you're going to round your spine. So think of tucking your tailbone, drawing your belly muscles in. As you lift up onto your heels, or on your toes, lifting the heels, you're going to reach your chest over the back of the chair. So you're going to be almost in like a leaned over plank position, nice and strong. And then send your hips back, rolling out, coming to a lengthened spine as you drop the heels and drop the chest. And again, rounding the spine by tucking your tailbone. Heels will start to lift. Your shoulders will start to drag down, your gaze reaching now towards the seat of the chair as the hips slightly fall forward into that plank position. And then hips push back, heels drop, tailbone rises as the chest and the head fall through. A couple more times. Rolling forward. And then sending the hips back, rolling it up. Let's do that one more time. Hips rolling up and forward. Strong belly muscles, especially once you get into the plank position, making sure that you're not allowing the hips to go too far. And then sending the hips back, tailbone to the sky, heels down, chest through, and release. Take a couple deep breaths here. Awesome. Now from here, you're going to tuck the tailbone and round, but you're going to start to walk your feet towards the chair as you do. And then stopping about a foot or so from the chair, and then lifting up, rolling the shoulders back, flipping the palms to face forward, and finding mountain pose for just a moment. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Maybe even at this point, some cleansing breaths feel good. All right, and then just relax the mountain pose, kind of shake it out a little bit. So we're going to do some single leg balancing. Essentially, it's going to be a warrior 3 position. So with your hands, again, on the seat of the chair, you're going to walk yourself back, and you might notice you have to be a little further away than even your downward facing dog. But here, you do want your heels to be under your hips, so directly under your hips for that support. You're going to root down through your right foot, slight bend to your right knee, that micro bend. And then you're going to start to lift your left leg out behind you. And so, if you need to walk back a little bit further, obviously readjust. You want to be pretty much in a tabletop position. So your hands rested on the back of the chair, all the way out through the arms, shoulders, spine, and then lastly, reaching energy out through the left heel. Belly muscles stay drawn up, shoulders stay drawn down, as much space between the shoulders and the ears as you can. And then not necessarily even lifting your gaze. We're going to do that here in just a second, but just to create a tabletop position, long neutral spine. Think of your gaze slightly down, and the crown of your head is what's reaching forward. Now from here, I want you to think of smiling your body. So your gaze is going to lift, your left leg is going to lift, and you're going to feel like you're arching slightly on the back. And then coming back down, finding neutral. And again, lifting up. Think of squeezing back muscles, glutes and hamstrings. Feel like you're trying to kick your heel to the sky and the crown of the head to the sky, and lower down. You're gonna do that one more time. Inhale and kick up and squeeze, and then lowering back to neutral. Now your left foot, I want you to step forward of the right foot so you're in a pyramid shape, okay? From here, you can take your hands down to the seat of the chair if you want. You can come all the way down to the floor, but I want you to lengthen out through the spine first. So take a deep breath in, and then as you exhale, bend your elbows. Whether your hands stay on the chair or they reach down to the floor is fine and completely up to you. But letting your head and your chest drop over the left leg. Now, if you're super close to the chair, just be careful with your head. But start to lift the head back up. Bring your hands back to the top of the chair, and then step the right foot in to meet the left. Stand really nice and tall. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, reach the arms down and interlace the fingers behind you. Trying to make the fist, and then work on straightening the elbows, and then maybe lifting the fingers and the fist away from the body. And then release, unclasp, and shake it out again. All right, so this time, same thing, now with the right leg. Hands on the back of your chair, walk your feet back, hips over the heels, rooted down in the left leg this time, slight micro bend. Right leg is gonna lift. Create that nice long back of the spine. Long neck as well, so gaze should be down towards the mat. Your ears slightly in between the biceps of the arms, and pushing out through the heels, so your toes are pointed down. Draw your belly muscles up and in. Pick up the rib cage. Don't just let it collapse down. It's easy to do. From here, from neutral, now you're going to allow your belly to drop slightly and arch, kicking your head, your chest up along with your leg, and then lowering back down. Hug the elbows in, and again, reaching up, heel kicks, crown of the head lifts, and release back out to neutral, straight spine, nice long line. And last time, lifting up, squeezing the whole back chain of the body, and lowering down to neutral. Slightly draw your right knee under the body, step the foot forward of the left foot into pyramid. And then again, hands can stay on the seat of the chair, back of the chair, but lengthen out of the spine first. And then as you exhale, soften the chest and the forehead over the right leg. Be cautious of the head again, but start to lift the head and the chest. Bring your hands back to the top of the chair, and then lifting, stepping the left foot to meet the right. Standing tall. With your next inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. And exhale, bring your arms down. Once more, interlace the fingers. Straighten out the elbows, and then lifting the arms away from the body. And then release and shake the arms, shake the legs out. Good, you guys. All right, so You're going to turn the chair around. So now you're facing the front of the chair. Carefully come all the way down onto your bottom. And we're going to do a wide-legged fold. So legs go wide, obviously on the outsides of the legs of the chair. But today, I want you to be about an arm's length away, which sometimes is hard to determine because you're going to soften and deepen into the stretch as you go. But make sure that you've got your legs separated, not 100%, so you've got some space to work into deeper. Your hands, reach them for the edge of your chair. What I want you to think of doing is, if you notice even reaching to the chair, like even me right now, slightly rounded in the spine, you're going to try and press down onto the chair as you lift your heart and your chest up and thinking of spilling your pelvic floor, that pelvic bowl forward. And then if you can maintain that, walk your hands out even deeper, like you're reaching now to the back of the seat of the chair, and see if you can do it again. Inhale, lift up and out, pressing downward onto the chair, and then walking your hands a little further. So your goal is to reach as many times as you can without excessively rounding in the spine. So if that was back at the first one, that's fine. Keep your hands a little closer to the edge of the chair. I want you to think of tilting your hips forward and kind of like you're spilling, again, that pelvic bowl forward in between the legs. And we are going to relax all the way down into a fold. We'll let the spine round, but just for a moment, think of shoulders down, chest reaching forward and out, your gaze slightly lifted, a couple deep breaths. And then if you want to come down all the way to the floor, your hands can reach now kind of under the chair, in between the legs of the chair, and then potentially coming to your forearms. At this point, if your spine rounds, that's fine. Just allow your chin to rest into your chest as well. Take one more deep breath in, one more deep breath out. And then very gently, as you walk your hands in, round up the spine bone by bone. Lifting your gaze and your head, reaching under your knees, bending your knees slightly as you bring your heels and your feet a little closer together. Then I'm going to have you set your feet and your legs on top of the chair, so you might have to scooch your butt in a little bit. Bring your calves back at the heels onto the seat of the chair, and then carefully reach behind your legs. You might have to use a little ab muscle here to stay lifted slightly, but then you're going to roll yourself down very gently. Good. And relax here. So from here, you're going to draw your right knee into your belly. Now your left leg can slightly open out to the side, and I know it feels kind of weird, but just letting the knee come in and kind of fold to the side. Your right knee is going to come to the outer rib cage, so you're just pulling your knee to the outside of your body and letting your left knee kind of open to the opposite direction. Now bring your left knee back up and neutral, or just straight, even though it's supported on the chair. Take your right foot and cross it to the opposite side of your left leg, and maybe your toes touch the floor. You're going to do a little bit of a twist, just adding a little bit of pressure on the outside of your right leg. So it's not a huge twist, hopefully feeling the outer glutes, outer hip of the right leg. Your right arm can reach out to the side. Your right foot might just be dangling. You might feel the toes touch the floor, just depending on how deep of a twist you go. And then gently bring your right knee back up and uncross the legs, setting now your right foot back to the chair. Bend your left knee into your belly. Reach over the knee and hug it in tightly. Slide your right knee forward and then let it drop open. And then take your left knee towards the left rib cage, also opening in the inner thigh area. And then take your left knee, cross it over the left knee, thinking of reaching your big toe towards the floor. Your right hand can come to the outside of the left leg, just adding a little bit of pressure. Think of lengthening though, the hip down. So whereas it's common to kind of the left hip to hike up towards the left rib cage, think of lengthening the left side of your body. So reaching as much space between your left shoulder and your hip as you can. Left arm can come out to the side. And then gently start to pick the left knee back up and uncross and slide your heel and your calf back out onto the chair. So do any adjustments that you need here to fully rest and be comfortable in Shavasana. So if that means covering up with a blanket, turning the lights out, maybe it means foregoing the chair. If you don't love that option, you can always slide your legs under the chair or move the chair and lengthen the legs out that way. Take a moment to still breathe deeply, inhaling and exhaling. And then gradually releasing that breath, coming back to your natural pace. And so a breath that is less intentional, a breath that you don't really have to think about. Relax and soften the eyes, the shoulders, your arms, your low back, your legs, your feet. Just notice how you feel. Notice what you feel. And notice where you feel it. gradually come back to your breath. Bring attention back to your body. When you're ready, think of just subtly breaking the stillness of the body and starting to move through the fingers and the toes. Maybe bringing in deeper breaths. Eventually reach your arms overhead and give yourself a really big stretch. All the way from the fingertips down through the heels, the toes. And as your arms come back down, wrap your knees in toward the belly and the chest, giving yourself a hug, and then rocking the hips from side to side. Keep rocking and eventually land on one side. It does not matter which. And then just do your best to keep the eyes closed. Keep yourself still breathing, feeling light and airy. Press yourself back up to a seat, finding your sit bones, finding that tall and lengthened spine with the shoulders down from the ears. And then pressing the palms together at heart center. Trying to feel the heels of the palms, the pads of your knuckles, the pads of your fingertips, from your thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky fingers, all pressing evenly. And then bow your chin to your chest. Giving thanks to your mind, to your body, to your breath. May we never take them for granted. And may you go in peace. Namaste.